Geneva in the spring acts as the annual gravity well for the global watch industry. This event, Watches and Wonders, sets the pace for horology on the same cultural scale as Paris Fashion Week, dictating trends and visions for the next 12 months. For a few days, the global press and top brand executives descend on this Swiss epicenter to see what the future of timekeeping looks like. Inside the Palexpo Center, the scale of investment is staggering. Each brand constructs its own temporary fortress. Panerai actually installed a functional underwater training tank used by Italian Navy diving units to emphasize their naval roots. But among the people actually driving the brand visions, the tone is defensive. Rather than funding bold experiments, executives are leaning into safe, commercially proven designs to weather a difficult financial moment. They are reacting to a sudden drop in temperature across the high-end market. Even the most established names are struggling commercially as their target audiences begin to intentionally walk away from their flagship products. Consumers still have the capital to buy these items. What has broken down is the core logic that the industry relies on to convince people that these products are actually worth the investment. That logic traces back to the late 1980s. The traditional method of selling high-end goods to a small circle of elites was stalling out, forcing the industry to adopt a completely different approach to growth. The architect of this shift was Bernard Arnault at LVMH. He, along with Johann Rupert at Richemont, realized there was a far more profitable way to structure the luxury business. They began acquiring historically significant but struggling heritage workshops. Then they used those prestigious names to market mass-produced aspirational products to a wider global audience. This system relies on a linear scale of value. At the bottom, you have affordable mall brands. At the top, you have the elite heritage houses. The entire premise is that expense perfectly correlates with prestige and quality. Eventually, the physical craftsmanship took a back seat to the narrative. A pair of plastic sliders could command a premium price simply because the name stamped into the footbed validated the cost. It worked for 4 decades. But by prioritizing marketing over manufacturing, the major houses built a fragile ecosystem that relies entirely on hype and social signaling to maintain its value. And that is exactly what the modern consumer is rejecting. People are looking at the actual materials in their hands and realizing they are paying for a logo rather than a superior object. The result is a pendulum swing back toward quiet luxury. In fashion, brands producing unbranded clothing from exceptional materials are growing, even as the broader market contracts. Horology is seeing the same trend. The independent watchmakers holding up best are the ones where the complex mechanical movement is the primary focus, completely separate from a flashy marketing budget. This forces a choice. Brands can either double down on extravagant multi-level showrooms and celebrity endorsements, or they can retreat to the workshop and prioritize the craftsmanship of the object itself. The wealthiest consumers have actively stopped broadcasting their status. By refusing to wear the logo-mania of the past, they have instantly devalued the traditional, loud status symbols. The sober atmosphere in Geneva reflects a much larger shift in the global definition of status. Status indicators always invert over time. In the 1920s, the wealthy owned cars, while the poor relied on horses. Today, the opposite is true. Horses are a luxury, and cars are a utility for the masses. We are in the middle of a similar inversion now. True luxury is increasingly defined by access to things that cannot simply be purchased: physical space, privacy, and the time required to care for a family. As the perception of luxury shifts from objects to experiences, heritage houses must justify their outsized margins. Consumers are beginning to demand superior end-user experiences rather than paying for the privilege of artificial exclusivity. The brands clinging to the 1980s model of loud exclusivity will be steamrolled. The future of luxury belongs to those who adapt to this new, quiet definition of value, placing the integrity of the product above the noise of the marketing.